the country and is affecting the common man.
Thank you.
Deputy Chairman, sir. Incidentally, the question is largely related to consumer affairs, food and public distribution. But I'm happy to share with the House through you, sir, that sunflower oil largely came from Ukraine. But sunflower oil has a smaller proportion in our overall basket of edible oils. But whenever there is a situation like this, it obviously has an impact all over the world. And almost all edible oil prices in the entire world today have shot up because of the India-Russia war, the Russia-Ukraine war, my apologies. And therefore, this is an impact that we are also facing. Fortunately, our farmers are doing a good job. We are looking at a much more robust mustard crop this year. I am given to understand by the Agriculture Department that the sowing has been good of mustard this year, so that will give us a good quality oil seeds. Sunflower over the years has not really grown, or in fact has reduced in terms of our own internal sowing, for which the oilseeds mission has been announced by the government. And we will be looking at trying to find ways to promote more and more indigenous production rather than being dependent on imports. It's a good opportunity for us as a nation, and I would appeal to all the states also to encourage their farmers to go and to move to diversify their crop from the traditional crop and look at oil seeds, pulses in a bigger way, so that we can remove the dependence on that.
Thank you. माननीय महेश पोद्दार जी.
सर, मैं माननीय मंत्री जी से जानना चाहूँगा कि जब विदेश का व्यापार काफ़ी हद तक शिपिंग के द्वारा होता है, और इस रिस्ट्रिक्शन के द्वारा क्या हमारी शिपिंग की मूवमेंट को भी असर पड़ा है? यदि हाँ, तो इसको निराकरण के लिए हम क्या कदम उठा रहे हैं?
स्वाभाविक है कि जब ऐसी समस्या आती है तो कई सारे शिप्स वहाँ पे ब्लॉक हो गए, अलग अलग पोर्ट्स में, सेंट्रल एशिया और यूरोप के पोर्ट्स में. उसके कारण कंटेनर्स भी ब्लॉक्ड हैं. सैंक्शंस होने के कारण भी शिपिंग इंडस्ट्री पे प्रभाव पड़ा है, और उसका पूरे विश्व भर में जो आयात निर्यात होता है, जो ग्लोबल ट्रेड है, उस पे शिपिंग कॉस्ट भी बढ़े हैं, अवेलेबिलिटी भी घटी है, और एक संकट तो अवश्य इस विषय में है. कोविड का संकट अपने तरह ऑलरेडी प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट कर रहा था, और ये अब इसके ऊपर एक और संकट ऐड हो गया. ऐसी परिस्थिति में सरकार, ये एक अनरेगुलेटेड सेक्टर है, प्राइवेट सेक्टर इसको अधिकांश विश्व भर में चलाती है. सरकार निरंतर डायलॉग बनाए हुए है अलग अलग शिपिंग कंपनीज, उनके एजेंट्स जो कंटेनर्स सप्लाई करते हैं, सभी के साथ. और अभी तक का आप सब जानते हैं, परसों ही माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी इस विषय को उजागर किया देश और विश्व के सामने कि भारत ने इन सब विपरीत परिस्थितियों के बावजूद $400 बिलियन का निर्यात, एक्सपोर्ट, जो ऐतिहासिक है. भारत ने कभी इतना नहीं किया था. ये पहली बार इस वर्ष किया है. जब तक महीना खत्म होगा 400 से भी अधिक हो जाएगा. तो परिस्थितियों पे सरकार की निगरानी भी पूरी तरीके से है, और सरकार जो भी कदम उठा सकती है इस विषय में लगातार संपर्क बना के कर रही है. निर्यातकों के साथ भी चर्चा निरंतर चलती है, और जितना संभव हो सकता है उस पर कार्रवाई की जा रही है.
धन्यवाद. Honorable P. Wilson.
Sir, the petrol prices has been hiked. Is it due to the sanction imposed on Russia? And what are the measures you have undertaken for the persons who have left their business and jobs from Ukraine and who have come here back to India? You have taken any remedial measures or any rehabilitation programs have been done for them?
The second relates to Health Ministry, because largely the students of medical colleges. In terms of the business people, we have not yet got any business person who has approached our ministry telling us that he's got dislocated, his business is dislocated because of this current situation between Russia and Ukraine. If the honorable member has any such instance, we would like to get the details. But ultimately, the business being done in a foreign land is an independent activity. Government is not a part of that business and will not be able to really interfere or intervene in that matter. In terms of other facilitation for our importers or exporters, government is in dialogue with all those who are impacted by this situation, and various measures are being taken to ensure that payments come on time, ensure that businesses do not suffer.
Thank you. Question number 243, Mani KJ Alphonse. Mani Mantri ji.
A statement is laid on the table.
First supplementary.
Sir, while the nation is extremely proud of India crossing the 400 mark in exports, which I think for which every Indian should be very proud of, sir, what is the role of the MSME sector in achieving this historic figure?
Deputy Chairman, sir, there can be absolutely no doubt in anybody's mind that our MSME sector is an extremely important sector. It's the mainstay of the nation's economy, and directly or indirectly, they continue and will always contribute in a very big measure to our economy, and within that to the export that India does. Very often this issue has come up about the contribution of MSMEs. I would like to suggest that it's more important that we assess that these MSMEs also now are growing very rapidly. These MSMEs are also becoming an important technology base for India's future job creation, expansion, and therefore the government of India in the revised definition of MSME has A, increased the investment threshold, B, increased the turnover threshold, and importantly has said that any turnover which is export related will not be counted while assessing the eligibility to be categorized as an MSME. So I think this has been a very, very major and transformative decision taken by Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi to encourage MSMEs to go out of the cocoon or the shell and look at engaging with the world with strength, with economies of scale, with high technology products. And therefore, while they have a huge role to play in this $400 billion achievement, my own sense is in the years to come, their role is only going to get increasingly more and more important.
Thank you. Second supplementary.
There are two surprise items in this export basket. One is export of engineering, which is touched $107 billion, which is an increase of 46.5%, and of electronics, which is touched $15 billion, which is an increase of 41%. So, do you see a huge target for these two items? First is engineering, which is $107 billion. Do you see a huge future for these items for our exports?
Deputy Chairman, sir, I'd like to compliment the Honorable member for the detailed analysis that he has done of the achievement of India. And I think this is an achievement that the entire House, irrespective of political affiliation, can applaud our exporters, our farmers, our MSMEs, who have contributed in a big measure to this success. But clearly, these two sectors that have been highlighted by Honorable MP, engineering has seen a growth of nearly 50%. It's a record growth, it's a record achievement, and engineering, which includes auto components, various small products that we make in India and send to the world, are actually highly job creating. They give a lot of opportunities for our MSMEs particularly, and there is a major thrust. I myself would have had not less than maybe 40 or 50 meetings over the last 2-year COVID period with the Engineering Export Promotion Council, ensuring that on a real-time basis, we are resolving their problems, sorting out any issue that they face, whether logistics, whether related to operations during the lockdown, whether any issues that they have with foreign buyers or foreign countries. Our missions are very active in handholding our exporters. So all of these steps have helped us achieve this 50% growth. I must also acknowledge that technology and adoption of the new age requirements of the world have also been our mainstay. And therefore, I say that the new India that our exporters are now a symbol of really is something that the whole nation should be proud of. As regards mobiles, it's one of the biggest success stories in recent times. The government had come up with a production-linked incentive scheme by which we were able to encourage large mobile manufacturers to come to India, set up shop here. And I'm happy to share with you, I think I read in the paper a couple of days back that Apple itself has exported probably 10,000 crores worth of goods, which is just the beginning. And they have very, very aggressive investment and export plans from India. My colleague, Honorable Minister of METI is here, and his MOS, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav and Rajiv Chandrasekhar ji are here. I hope they get an opportunity to give more details in any of the questions related to that ministry. But believe me, the new policy that 76,000 crore being offered for co-investment as a support from the government of India to promote the semiconductor industry to come in India in a big way. The semicon policy is another massive initiative. Never before has India come out with such a robust and futuristic technology-oriented policy to promote semiconductors in India. I am very confident that in the years to come, India will become a global player in the electronics sector.
Thank you. Mani Anand Sharma ji.
Thank you, Deputy Chairman, sir. Through you, I want to ask the Honourable Minister a specific question. But before that, let me also, as a former Commerce and Industry Minister, compliment the Minister and Indian exporters for crossing the $400 billion mark. I remember, sir, our exporters have risen to the occasion in the past. When I had demitted office, we left at 318 billion, but 2 years were very difficult. And due to COVID, this is a remarkable achievement. Sir, Minister in his reply has referred to the difficulties, particularly in the maritime transit routes due to sanctions. India has not either endorsed sanctions, and the trade in the past we have continued with our strategic partners, whether it was Iran and all. Will therefore the government look at more commodities for exports, since our agri exports have touched 50 billion, and Ukraine and Russia are the major producers of wheat besides Canada, US. So are we looking at sending our wheat in the international market, and also alternate transit routes due to the problems on the high seas, whether through the land corridors, through the Central Asian countries, so that we can continue with our trade?
Thank you.
Through you, sir, I'd like to thank the Honourable former Commerce and Industry Minister for his very, very gracious comments. And truly, our exporters deserve it. Our exporters deserve accolades for what they have been able to achieve in these very difficult times. The second wave was so difficult, then we had Omicron, and then towards the last quarter, we had the uncertainties around the the current situation in Ukraine and Russia. In this situation, Deputy Chairman, sir, all the members will be happy to know that we have been continuously monitoring the opportunities this opens up for India and Indian exporters. I still recall it was over a month ago, month and a half probably, that I got a call from the Honourable Prime Minister asking me what steps have been taken for example, wheat exports. Wheat is something where I'd like to share with the honourable members through you, sir. India can proudly say that we have very high quality wheat, and our farmers are truly making the country proud with the growth in wheat production. And similarly, our exporters over the last 2 years grew wheat export from merely 2 lakh metric ton 2 years ago. Last year, they grew it 10 times to 21 lakh metric ton. And in the current year, we'll close with over 70 lakh metric tons of wheat export. but as is the way of working of Prime Minister Modi, he has set an even much more aggressive target for all of us to work with. Honorable Agriculture Minister is here. We have been having joint consultations. The Railways is rising to the occasion by ensuring availability of adequate rakes so that wheat can be moved to the port. The Shipping Ministry is also working to ensure seamless movement of agricultural products, particularly wheat, given the current situation where the opportunity, because Ukraine and Russia were large exporters of wheat, is pretty large all over the country. So A, we are working on the track of increasing our wheat exports to the current importers. B, agriculture is in dialogue with various countries for the process to be speeded up and expedited so that newer markets for wheat can be sought. And I'm happy to share with you that after I gave my entire report to the Honorable Prime Minister, he said, but the most important thing you've not reported. And I was quite taken aback. I thought I'd given a whole nice response to what efforts we are doing. He said, quality. I said, yeah, of course, we have to. He said, no, take this opportunity so that we give such good quality to the whole world that वो स्वाद हमारे गेहूं का सबको इतना लग जाए कि उसके बाद हमारे देश का गेहूं सब जगह निर्यात हो। तो आनंद शर्मा जी, हम एक तरफ जो 2 वर्ष बड़ी छलांग लगाएंगे, लेकिन साथ ही साथ जब पूरी सरकार इस चीज पे लग गई है तो हमने फूड FSSAI को भी इसमें जोड़ दिया है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा कि इसमें इतनी अच्छी क्वालिटी जानी चाहिए, इतनी अच्छी गुणवत्ता वाला हमारा अनाज विश्व भर में जाए कि जैसे आज चावल में एक पूरे विश्व में एक प्रीमियम मिलता है, भारत का चावल है, बासमती हो या गैर बासमती हो, एक प्रीमियम प्रोडक्ट बन गया, वैसे आगे के दिनों में हमारे अन्नदाता जो गेहूं बनाते हैं वो भी भारत की शान बनेगी।
धन्यवाद। प्रोफेसर मनोज कुमार झा।
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chairman, sir. Through you, Honorable Chairman, sir, Honorable Minister. Sir, we are seeing situation evolving through in a catch-22 mode. And I believe very clearly that you are doing enough. But whereas there could be a point where there could be a conflict or contradiction between our trade and commerce priority and our diplomatic and political position, which has been shaped through all these conflicts in last since 47. Has the government been thinking about it? What could be the alternative or diversification through all that? Thank you, sir.
जहाँ तक strategic as regards the strategic issues, I think that would be more for my colleague, the Honorable External Affairs Minister, to address that at the appropriate time, because right now we are in a situation which is something where we should not be discussing beyond the point, though he has already come to the House and very transparently addressed the concerns of the members. Yes. As regards trade is concerned, our approach is that trade stands on its own legs, and diplomacy and geopolitical considerations stand on their own leg. I think it's important that the two should not be mixed up, while one may have an impact on the other. So, for example, we have excellent relationship with all countries around the world, and therefore we are able to expand our trade with many countries. A lot of excitement and interest is there in many countries to have economic partnerships and grow the relations with India, given the emerging strengths and the power that India is demonstrating across the world. However, our national interest will always be supreme. The strategic interests of the country will always be supreme in any consideration or bilateral relation that we may have with any country.
धन्यवाद। माननीय ब्रिजलाल जी।
उपसभापति महोदय, हमारे नेबरिंग कंट्रीज हैं, उनको हमारा एक्सपोर्ट होता है लैंड रोड से, चाहे बांग्लादेश हो, भूटान हो, नेपाल हो, म्यांमार हो, तो इन कंट्रीज को लैंड रूट से एक्सपोर्ट करने के लिए दो रूट है, ट्रेन एंड रोड। इसके लिए माननीय मंत्री जी से जानना चाहूँगा, इसके लिए क्या प्रयास हो रहे हैं जिससे हमारा एक्सपोर्ट जो लैंड रूट से इन कंट्रीज को एक्सपोर्ट।
क्वेश्चन रिलेटेड है यूक्रेन क्राइसिस, इंडस्ट्री एंड कॉमर्स। फिर भी माननीय मंत्री जी अगर कुछ कहना चाहें।
डायरेक्टली रिलेटेड नहीं है, पर माननीय सांसद ने विषय उठाया है। मैं आपको विश्वास दिलाता हूं कि सरकार होल ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट अप्रोच से काम करती है। ये कोई साइलोज में ये सरकार का काम करने का ढंग नहीं है कि भाई रोड का विषय है तो सिर्फ रोड की चिंता वो मंत्रालय करे, रेलवे मंत्रालय अपनी सिर्फ चिंता करे, होम मिनिस्ट्री वो बॉर्डर पोस्ट की चिंता करे जो लैंड रूट पे बॉर्डर पोस्ट होते हैं, या हम सिर्फ अपने वाणिज्य की करें। सरकार में लगातार संपर्क बना रहता है, लगातार चर्चाएं चलती है कि क्या क्या और प्रोत्साहन दे सकते हैं हमारे देशवासियों के लिए, हमारे निर्यातकों के लिए, कैसे और अवसर ढूंढ सकते हैं लोगों को और काम मिले व्यापार करने का, उद्योग लगाने का, रोजगार का। और इस विषय में लगातार, जैसे उदाहरण के लिए अगर रेलवे के प्रश्न पे माननीय रेल मंत्री जी कहना चाहें कि किस प्रकार से बांग्लादेश के साथ कितना विस्तार हो रहा है रेलवे की सुविधाओं का, कैसे बढ़ाने के लिए अलग अलग स्तर पर प्रयत्न चल रहा है, भूटान से भी कैसे हम और अपना आयात निर्यात बढ़ा सके, उसमें रोड सेक्टर, रेलवे किस किस माध्यम से किया जा सकता है। पोर्ट सेक्टर लगातार लगा रहता है कि अगर कोई चीजें जो पश्चिमी भारत से जानी है तो क्या वो सी रूट से भी इन देशों तक भी पहुंच सके। तो मैं समझता हूँ ये पूरी सरकार बड़ी गंभीरता से अपने नेबरहुड की तरफ देखती है और नेबरहुड में जितने देश हैं उन सबके साथ निरंतर संपर्क भी बनाए हुए और निरंतर अपने ट्रेड को बढ़ाने के लिए काम।
धन्यवाद माननीय मंत्री जी। क्वेश्चन नंबर 244 माननीय रेवती रमन सिंह जी।